Hi, welcome back. Today I'll take care of part two of the demo that I started yesterday, which was to set up the painting with a wet underpainting using alcohol and pastel. So today I'll apply the layers of pastel and I'll take you through the process to complete the autumn scene on the river. Okay, so I have not done anything to this except for use a hard pastel and just fine tune a few of the areas so that I had a little bit of the detail that I had drawn in one of my preliminary sketches. I did a few of them just because it's nice to be able to actually spend a little bit of that drawing time. So I carved off this rock here. The end of this tree was falling right where the rock was, so I rather than trying to move the whole tree, I just reduced the rock. Yesterday, you'll remember I had this part. The top was lining up with this, so I've dropped that again. And we'll see how this works out. I might have to raise that a little bit, but we'll see how that goes as I paint along. Okay, so I have the sky in. I'm going to go back to my little testing here. This is a little cool color. I'm just going to get a little bit of that cool color up in there. Bring it through here. Value's about the same. It's going to be a nice little combination with that lovely. Let me just get a little bit down here. I don't know why I'm doing that because actually that's probably going to wind up dark, so leave that. Okay, so for the background here, we've got our muted tree line. Going to keep with those violets. All those leafless trees kind of take on that really soft look. There's some colorful ones here. I'm just going to give a little bit of an edge so we can see that. Kind of create a little more of an interest to this area there, as if there's maybe another layer of trees behind here. I take some of that muted green, orange, and this is this muted one back here. I'm pressing lightly with it. It's slightly darker value. But see, just a real light skim over that violet, bringing that down. I'll put a couple of little pockets in here. Not too many. I don't want to add a lot of light up in there either, but I'll just put a little bit to just ring the top of that. And in here yesterday I had commented that I'm not going to have to do much. So I'm just going to take and just bring a little bit of that orange that's threading through behind and around those trees. This section here, I'm just going to kind of firm up the shapes. So that's one of the goals we want to do when I start working on the actual painting, is to really just come in and kind of break up some of those kind of rigid shapes that exist, bearing in mind that, you know, I really want this. I can press a little harder with the same color now. It's a little darker coming in through there. Just little bits. I'm not going to do too much here. A little bit right, just bring that down. I'm going to leave the yellow for now because that's quite pronounced. Get a little bit of the grassy area. And I've got this nice little ledge that's appearing back here. So this is where the idea was that I was going to drop this down just a little bit through here. So I'm just going to bring this right up. These trees are not all standing on top. Some of these trees are actually on the other side of this raised area. So that's something that I'll work on. I reduced the rocky bed wall that was up here. Have a little bit more grassy area. Just fill that in a little bit more. Just get a little definition of those shapes that are happening here. some of these incidental greens that'll go around, I'll come back into them. I can use a lot of the same colors that I used yesterday because, oh, no, you know what I want? I want to get that deep, oh, here it is, this deep color. I wanted to get that in a few of these areas underneath. A little kind of quick little brush kind of strokes. And just break that up, little sideways marks back and forth. I can go over those tree trunks because I can just bring them back up. And this is that one, if you recall, I really wanted this guy to stand out. So I'm going to get a little bit more of this red here. And the red here I may not get rid of as much as I'll get rid of that up there. Coming in with the orange now. And this is just a dance between the different layers and getting rid of some of those real pronounced lines that existed around the original shapes that I did. And that yellow is really nice, but that yellow can become a little bit overpowering. And just a little bit of drags through here, little drags here. Okay, okay, just shoot them in there. And let's just break him up a little bit too. Okay, come down a little. So I don't want these trees to, and I've made my mountain a little bit higher here, but as I add these trees here, I can come up, and I can always knock the top of that mountain down if I need to. I'm gonna have to make a little bit edges showing. Okay, let's get some of these greens. I've got this lovely muted darkish green that almost has a grayish feel to it. And we're going to just drag some of that green right up into here. And see, by having that yellow down, when I drag in some of this green, what happens is it creates this really soft transition between the different trees that are there. So the point now is to really just get these different shapes, break them up. Let's break that guy up a little bit in here. It's that. I can change my direction, bring him in. Let's see, I want that red to show through, so that reddish color is actually showing through. And this gets a little dark down in here, so I'm just going to come upwards with this. I don't want to go too dark over here. Okay, you're getting a little bit, the strokes are looking a little too even, so I'm going to have to get in there and change that out a little bit. And I'll go back and forth, and this is a dark warm. Last one was very neutral, so now I'm going to just come in back and forth, up and down. So I'm trying to create that little bit of that glow that happens with those leaves. Okay, and now I'll just create that little final coming in, little bits peeking through. And I'll come back in. See what happens when I put the orange over that neutrally colored. See the way now I've made this warmer, neutral, dark. Oh, it's really pretty in real life. Okay, let's get some in there. Okay, I've got this yellow guy that's right here, and I think I'm going to actually come in with that same green that I had here. I'm just going to use that as a little bit of a Let's knock it down a little bit and bring this up in here. Okay, so all those shapes that were really very hard edge, becoming a little softer now, because I want this in the background to feel soft, because if it feels too defined, then I'm going to lose that feeling of just the colors of the leaves. Okay, for now I'm going to leave that. A little bit more of that right along there. A little bit of it. I'm going to have a little bit peek out on this side there. I may change my mind on that later. And that was this russety neutral. Let's see. Okay, so we're just going to change a little up, and it's the underneath. So this is going to create that little shadow that's underneath that. We're going to use this same color to just create little dark areas in those trees. Coming up, coming in, just kind of randomly breaking them up. Underneath this tree would be a little dark. I'm just kind of bringing them in. Don't want to go over too much there, because I like the way that had looked right there. Okay, leaving that alone. Going to do a little bit down in here. Same thing. That red violet works out really nice as the shadowed side. My sun really is coming from over here on this side. I can tell by the shadows this side's lit, so I'm going to be a little careful with how I put the light on here, which is why I was putting all these trees so that oh yeah, and this little violet in here, that's working out nice. And we've got a lot of these trees that are in here. I'm going to use the side of this. Break this up, because we would see some of the tree trunks. And there's going to be a few of them back in here too. Like I said, I'm not really going to do a lot for that there. I'm going to have to define this in here a little bit. I think it's just slightly. Bring this down. Okay. And then I'm going to bring this right up here. Okay. This lovely orange. I love this really corally color. Catching there. I can catch a little bit right there. Okay, I can catch a few little pockets where it's light. And by having all those layers underneath, all I have to do is put just little pockets. Don't want to do too much there. Let me just leave this alone. Put a little bit there, and then I'll come in with, let's see if this color will work. This is a light warm, slightly muted. Let's see. Okay, light. Remember, we're trying to create that feeling of light over here. So we'll choose a few. I might have to brush that off. I'm not crazy about that. Light happening there. Okay. So I've done enough to get at least a good color base there, and some of these same colors are going to wind up appearing over here. So we're going to go back to this one here that was acting as my shadow color. So I'm just going to set in the shadows for the And I can just see where I had that russety color, so I can just come in, and that russety color gives me a really nice feel for where the shadows were. A little reminder, and I can let some of that show through. I'm just going to check my sketch, yeah, because I didn't have these guys all parallel. I had some of them coming down in a couple of different angles here, as it would be in real life. And this shadow's really running right across the gravel. We want those shadows underneath, because if the shadows are underneath, all we're doing is hitting it with highlights. This is a Girault pastel. It's got a bit of a violet cast to it, a bluish violet. And I'm just going to come in and hit some of the tops of those rocks that are lit. And I've got some of that blue there just to remind me. And I came out here for this rocky water. Now off in the distance, I don't have to actually think about creating a whole load of rocks. Remember I said I had changed this back here. I'm going to have to do a little value change because those two areas are perpendicular to one another, and right now they're just blending, looking flat. So now I'm going to come in, leave some of that blue showing underneath, and get some of these rocks in just slightly darker than the blue that was there, and slightly lighter than the there. This is going to be like a little rocky edge with leaves that are falling in it. Let's come down. And that same color exists over here. Let's bring this right up like that. Just going to darken that. And I'm going to come in with okay, starting to fiddle there, so I'm going to leave that alone right now. I don't need to do anything with it. Okay, here is this. This is that gray that actually has a blue tinge to it, and this is a lighter value. So I'm going to kick just the top of this little area where the trees are. I'm going to kick a couple of these areas in between the shadows. And again, come down. I get that same sort of thing that's happening. I can get a little bit of a variation in value. And okay, yes, good. This is lighter. So see, this is lighter here. So I can come up through here. And this whole layer, I don't really want to do a lot of detail back here. Remember, I've condensed this. So it is not a couple of pops for the lights coming down, hitting the side, hitting that. Let's just get him a little bit darker. And then a little soft glaze there. Pressure, same pastel stick, more pressure here. I wound up with a nice deep, I shouldn't say deep. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I have a little bit of a value differentiation, but not really quite enough. So let's go to this guy. He is a muted violet. I'm trying to use a lot of the same pastels that I've already used. You know, I certainly can introduce more colors, and it's not really going to be a problem if I do. But this is lit. This is a little bit more in shadow. So I'm just going to come through. I'm just going to create some shapes. See, I've got shapes of rocks that are already appearing here, and this is going to take the place of something that is intermediate value. going to come right out here. I have a couple lines there that I put in just to, okay, let's next get back to that darker one. Okay, this area here is a little bit more. We're going to just define up the edges of some of those rocks. I can start off pretty angular if I want, and then I can change them up as I soften different areas. But for now, I'm just getting in angular marks. And this is looking a little too purpley for me. I think I like that slate color that I had there instead. And that slate color is this guy right here. Got to get rid of a little bit of this violet. I can still use it. And it's actually, value-wise, it's pretty close to the violet, except for it's just slightly lighter. So I'll just curve some of these guys. And the idea is that some of the rocks are going to appear, because what I'm doing is I'm putting a different value around it. Okay, and that definitely feels like it's darker. It's a little bit mottled looking, but you know, that's all right. I'll just get a couple of areas here where there might be a little bit of shade. Down at the bottom. And we're going to carry this guy over. He'll have a very soft stroke. And I'm just going to do a little drag. I do not need to, just a slight drag. And I'll have a little slight drag right there. And we're going to use this to come across. And remember, I had that line that was coming that I was trying to distinguish the curve right here, the path coming down and being lit up. Okay, and I really can't do this water because I haven't done the trees, so let me get up here and take care of some of these trees here. Okay, look at these are two different now, so I'm okay. Maybe I'll put this guy a little bit of an angle there. You're not going to see much of that road, but there is something there, so a little bit of an edge. And I'm really thinking of value and whether I'm putting down something that's muted. So right now I'm putting down the muted objects. I'm going to come in for this water, but I want to sort out and get my ooh, look at these little rocks, just little dots in here for the rocks. I'll get a little bit bigger as they come this way. That's where this guy here, he'll flatten out. And he's got another little rock. We'll just kind of making up those rock pieces. I'm not really copying the photo. I'm making them up. Yeah, he comes out a little bit too much there. You know, right now it's bugging me, but I think it's bugging me because right now it's such a big value difference. It's got all this light around it, and we are going to be darkening some of that. So I am going to leave that and just there. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to get these trees sorted out and come down. Just get some of these lines for where I had the trees before, trying to just recreate a little bit of that, this little dance between the shapes in between the trees so that they're not all orchestrated to be Let's just do that sort of thing. Get a little bit of an undergrowth coming up. A lot of these branches are coming out. Okay, curving around. Don't want to go too crazy. Okay, so this is where I'm going to bring in, see, this is, I'm not sure if this is going to be value-wise right. Ooh, he looks a little too light. Nope, forget that guy. Okay, let's give him a little bit, looking for something that's a little neutral. He might be a little too dark, but let's try. Okay, I'm trying to get a little sideways stroke. I'm going to put little last leaves, you know, end of season leaves. Kind of like what's happening outdoors right now, where we've got all these trees that are dropping their leaves. Okay, just bring a little bit out here. Now I'm going to want to put a little bit of the orange in there too. I'm going to start with this orange right here. Oh, no. Okay, hang on. I'm trying to blend them in with the color that, because remember when we put it over here, now I'm doing the opposite. I've got that down and I'm putting the orange on top, and we're just doing a little back and forth. Let some of that sky show through. And I could have them leafless, but I kind of like the idea of having a little bit of leaves falling down coming this way. So I'm going to pull up this yellow. And so this is a great way to disrupt the tree limbs. There's a little bit of light that's coming through. We know that because we've got light that's coming through here. So we're going to just do that. Okay, let me just step back and look. Okay, don't want to go too crazy. Okay, so here we go. Reflection-wise, we're going to have some of this showing up, and because I have created my own little drama thing going on here, okay, going to come in, and I am going to leave that blue, and I am going to take this color that I used underneath, and I'm just going to drag it here. I'm going to be getting about this section right in here. I'll just go back and forth. Okay, this represents that. That represents this. Going to come in and get the little bit of the edge here. A little bit. Okay, and can't look at the photograph now because if I do, I'll be putting in too much of that blue sky, and there is no blue sky there because I added leaves. I'm just going to come in and add some of that violet that's falling in between here, and really just doing that. Okay, and the water is moving. Going to do the same thing here. Just going to disrupt this a little bit. And I'm going to come in with the, you got that? Okay, coming in with that gray again. Okay, and this time I'm going to bring in a little bit of that color that was there. And that way this is where it was really a kind of a soft pool there. And then we've got the sky that's being reflected here, so I need to, I've got that lovely warm color. Let's break this guy up. Nope, see that's too up high. See, it's not going to be, that part of the sky is going to be out of there, but the sky here will have, ooh, no, we won't have the sky here either. But we will have the reflection of the water that's just above it. So what we're doing now is we're really adding the sky, the water that is reflecting. So we can have areas where it's a little bit calmer, and that's where I've got like these streaks, and areas where it's moving around a little bit more, and that's where I've got this little movement. I have to get in there with my soft right here, soft, little. Now I go break this up a little bit. Not so sure I like the way that looks. What I'm doing is I'm just doing a drag back. Remember we were doing down. Now I'm just doing a drag across. Now see, that does not look as problematic now. Okay, this is reflecting in here. So I've got a little bit of this orange. This orange is probably falling somewhere around here. And where's that darker one? Here's the darker one. Oh, let's see. If I put this super soft, ooh, that might be too. That's too much chroma there. That's all right. I'll leave it, Betsy. You'll be fine. You can come back to it. This is reflecting here. This is that really quiet pool right here. Kind of quieted down in there. I have this really nice color that's got a lot of light in it, and we're gonna just lighten up this area of water right here. It's going really slow right there. Do I want to add a little bit of this up here? I don't know. I like that color though. Okay, we'll have a little bit of this. Let's see, that's the color. Yep, that's the one that I used. So now I am going to go one a little bit. Getting carried away with my strokes there. Not crazy about that at all. Okay, I'm going to come in here and I am just going to come in and just brush a little of that off. Brush it down. I feel like I'm making the water a little calmer than I had anticipated, but I think what I need to do is just regroup, sit back, have a look, and figure out, really spend time looking at the reflections, because that's part of it. This is my little quiet pool right here. And this little drag down kind of helps to create that. Yeah, I've got to get some real dark areas in here for where these trees are. So I think I'll just kick them back up again by bringing it down. Let's have a look and stop. Okay, I think I'm going to have to stop and think about what it is that I need to do with this. I'll take some photographs so that you'll be able to, see the steps that I took to actually resolve some of the issues with the water and making it move, but also we've got that dark area where those trees are. And because I changed the photograph, I need to readjust that. Okay. Thank you.